Welcome to Money with Mark Albert. Glad you're with me today. Today we're going to talk about the federal elections are coming up because there are three of the main political parties that are taking positions on the mortgage industry in Canada. So this is going to be an ongoing debate. So I'll be updating videos as time moves on, leading up to the October 21st, 2019 election. So we're going to look at all three parties. And so basically, three of the parties have, the Liberals, Conservatives, NDPs, they all have platform positions on this. The Green Party, I went through their whole platform. I didn't find one word on mortgage, one word on stress test, nothing like that. So they're not in it, but they may develop a strategy in keeping with what's going on here eventually, because I think it's going to be a big issue, big topic. So it's going to be these three parties. We're going to focus on the mortgage industry, stress test, first-time home buyers, kind of making homes affordable is also a part of it. And I will mention that there will be update videos as time moves on. So if this is something you'd like to get updates on, please subscribe below. So I think things are going to intensify. I personally believe that the mortgage issues that are going on right now, affordability of homes, people getting homes, first-time home buyers not being able to get in the market, it's a big deal. The stress test is a big deal. And I think it's going to be a massive election issue. That's why I'm doing this video, because I think it's important for us to be educated on this stuff. Please note that I'm taking a nonpartisan position on this. I'm just basically presenting the facts. So that's what we're going to do. And we'll start with the Liberals first. Now, with the Liberals, I did about a 10-minute video on everything we're talking about here with more depth. So if you want to figure out in more depth what the Liberals are proposing on this concerning the first-time home buyers and the home buyers plan, there'll be a link below with that video there. So basically, they're looking at a shared equity mortgage, which CMHC, which is basically a crown corporation of the government of Canada, and in that situation for first-time home buyers, if you put 5% down and it's a newly constructed home, so a pre-build, we're basically going to have 10%. You put 5%, they put 10%. You can put more than 5%, but they're going to put 10%. So if it's an existing home, they're going to put 5% down. And then, of course, the loan needs to be paid back to CMHC. There's a lot of details that aren't yet known to us. Those will come eventually. Now, you have to have a household income of $120,000 or less to qualify. So that means that there's people who basically will not be able to qualify if your household income is larger. And it's basically 4 times, the way you do your math is this, whatever household income is, multiply by 4, and it tells you the size of the mortgage you can qualify for, an insured mortgage. So if the household income is $120,000, basically the size of the mortgage can't be more than $480,000, okay? And the program expected to start, it's interesting, and I think it's very political. So the election's October 21st. They want to start this program in September, right close to it. So, and I think they feel that may give them the kind of the edge. Now they're already in power. They could implement that program right now. They're majority government, the Liberals, so they can implement it now if they want, help first-time home buyers get in the market now, but they're going to wait. So we'll see if it starts then or not. If they don't get in, the Liberals don't get in, then this program probably not going to happen, because the other two main parties, they have their own approach to mortgages, okay? So the Liberals, they want to modernize the home buyers plan. Now the home buyers plan, all it is up to $25,000 of your RRSPs, you can pull it out as an interest-free loan and apply it to either your down payment when buying a house if you're a first-time home buyer, or any other costs associated with moving in that house, legal costs and so on, okay? And that's the current plan. And what they want to do is they want to increase that by $10,000 so that it goes, so you can pull up to $35,000. So, of course, that must be paid back within 15 years, and for it to remain interest-free. So a couple, they could both pull $35,000. Now the challenge I find with this, and I said it on the last video I did, and the link for that one will be below as well, is that most first-time home buyers that I have ever met with over the years, helping them with their finances, they don't have $35,000 sitting there in an RRSP. Most don't. And so I'm not too convinced that the impact from moving to $25,000 to $35,000 is going to have any significant impact. And there's only so many thousands of people every year that are first-time home buyers getting in the market. So that's the Liberals. One thing about them, disappointing to me actually, was that they're not touching the stress test. They're keeping the stress test in there, and that stress test is economists and economists within the banking sectors, the different big banks. They're talking about how it's hurting the industry, hurting the economy, hurting first-time home buyers, but also hurting people who have established mortgages and they want to renew their mortgage and switch. They can't switch from this bank to that bank because then the stress test applies, and it's hard to leave to go shopping when you go to renew your mortgage. So people feel they're held hostage in a situation like that. So that's the Liberals. Some people like it. Others don't feel great about it. And this has been in the media for several months now. So now let's look at the Conservatives. So on the stress test, they're planning to remove the stress test on mortgage switches. So that means that if you have a mortgage with this bank and you're in a 5-year fixed mortgage or 5-year variable mortgage and you want to renew, you have to renew, but you don't want to renew with that bank for whatever reason, you want to switch and move it to another bank, they're saying we're going to remove the stress test on that type of transaction. Now this is big because there's another video I did on a mortgage market update back in February, and in that video, and I'll put that link below, you can look at that if you want, I mentioned that there's about 6 million households in Canada that have mortgages attached to their home. So that means that up to 6 million households, which is a lot more than 6 million people, because each household usually has more than that, could have a positive benefit from this. Because what's going on is, if I have a mortgage with a particular lender, that particular lender doesn't necessarily feel that they have to give you the best rate to renew today, because they know you would have a hard time transitioning your mortgage from them to another lender because of the stress test. And so lenders very easily are taking advantage of people, and these people with mortgages, oftentimes, as I speak with them, they feel they're held hostage to their lender because they can't switch. They want to switch, but they just can't because of the stress test. So this would help a lot of people. So the Conservatives are also, they want to review the current stress test and the impact. So that means that they may make some other modifications there, okay? So they're committed to doing a full review. And they have other measures improving household affordability. The details of that, I'm sure, will come as we get closer to the elections. And it's easier to shop around, as I mentioned, when you renew your mortgage, which is a benefit of removing the stress test when people want to switch mortgages. That doesn't mean they have to switch, but it just makes it so much easier if they want to or would need to. Okay, so the Conservatives, they also want to do this, and this is really helpful for first-time home buyers. So first-time home buyers, if you go in and you put less than 20% down on your purchase, it needs to be an insured mortgage. So it's insured by CMHC or Genworth, stuff like that. And then you can only have a 25-year amortization period. Well, they're looking to bring back this 30-year amortization period. So it's going to create smaller mortgage payments, which means it may be more affordable for you. It would make it easier to qualify under the mortgage current stress test, but also all mortgages, there's ratios that we have to help you qualify for, right? So there's TDS and GDS ratios, and those ratios make it easier to qualify if in certain situations you can have a 30-year amortization versus a 25-year. Now, if someone does 30 years, that doesn't mean they can't at renewal renew and move over to a 25-year or 20-year amortization. Their circumstances probably be different then, but oftentimes to get into the market, you might need that. So it makes it easier to qualify for a mortgage. It makes it easier for first-time home buyers. So this is a good deal. And you're going to see in a bit the NDPs, they got the same thought process on this. So the Conservatives, they're going to address the supply side of housing, right? A lot of details that we don't know yet. That'll come, I'm sure. But they want to make it easier for people to build more homes. They're planning to work with provincial and municipal partners. And the purpose of working tightly with them is to address processes, red tape issues, timelines, things that hinder the moving forward of building home units that may be more affordable, allows individuals to actually build homes a little bit with more ease. Okay? And the goal for them would be that more homes would come to the market at a lower cost. So that's kind of what, and I hold this whole page right here. I'm sure there's a lot of information we just don't know yet that hopefully will come out as we get close to the elections, what they're thinking. And if it does, I'll do an updated video. So let's talk about the NDP. Now this slide here is basically the same as the Conservatives. So they're looking to bring back a 30-year amortization on insured mortgages as well. It's going to create smaller payments for people on their mortgages, makes it easier to qualify for a mortgage, easier for first-time home buyers, okay? One of the things that the NDPs stated that they were going to do is they were going to build 500,000 affordable homes in the next decade. And they're the only ones that are saying it with that type of specifics in terms of that volume of homes. But notice the time frame is like a decade. And I think this is very political. Oftentimes, politicians do this. They put out a big number over this many years, and it looks good, right? What we don't know is we don't know the start time frames of these. You know, if they get into power, they're going to start that in their first term, the first 4 years, or as some political parties do, they say they're going to do it over 10 years, but they don't implement it for the first 4. And then as they're getting close to the next election, they're saying, oh yeah, we're doing this. And then they start the process, right? So then it allows to build some momentum for them in the next election. We don't know what cities, you know, and those, no one's going to give you those type of specifics at this point. You know, this percentage in Toronto, this percentage in Vancouver, this percentage in Calgary, Ottawa. They're not going to get into that probably right now. So the NDP, they're calling on CMHC to support co-housing as a mortgage option. Now what that is, well, we'll wait and see, because they haven't given any explanation that I have seen in the media to define this, but I think it's more to do with the affordable, making your ability to live more affordable, and how that's defined. But they're the only ones that are talking about doing that. All right. Now the NDPs comes to the mortgage stress test. I haven't seen anything at all where they're saying that they're going to modify it at all. So the only ones who are looking to modify it to improve the mortgage stress test is the Conservatives. The Liberals, they're pretty heavy on first-time home buyers, right? That's their big issue. And so we're going to give updates on this. Hopefully the Green Party, they have their views, and I can add it on the next video update. Listen, thank you so much for being with me on Money with Mark Albert. Have yourself a wonderful day, and hopefully this has been helpful for you. Take care.